The arena was older than many stars. Its stone floor carried the marks of thousands of battles, each one ending the same way, one warrior standing, the other silent forever. Above the arena, metal platforms held rows of alien spectators. They came from many systems, but they shared one belief: strength decided truth. At the center of the arena stood a female warrior of the Kareth Dominion. She was tall, broad-shouldered, and covered in ritual scars. Her armor was dark and sharp-edged, built for killing, not beauty. To her people she was already a legend. She had never lost. She had never shown mercy. She had never doubted herself. Her name was Surixa. She looked across the arena with cold eyes, waiting for her opponent to be brought out. This match was not for land or politics. It was for honor, a death match. Only one would leave alive. The gates on the opposite side opened with a low metallic sound. A human walked in. The crowd reacted at once. Some laughed, some whispered, others leaned forward curious. Humans were new to this part of the galaxy. They were known to be clever, stubborn, and strangely brave, but physically weak compared to most warrior races. The human was young, wearing simple combat gear with visible damage. His armor was not ceremonial. It was used, repaired many times, and marked by past missions. He carried no heavy blade, only a compact energy staff locked in safe mode. Surixa felt insulted. This was who they sent to face her. She stepped forward and raised her weapon, a long, curved plasma spear. Her voice echoed through the arena, amplified by unseen systems. "This is an insult to the Dominion," she said. "You send a soft-world creature to die for your pride." The human stopped several steps away from her. He looked around the arena once, then back at her. His face showed tension but not fear. "My name is Daniel Reyes," he said calmly. "I didn't come here to insult you." Surixa tilted her head slightly. "You came here to die." Daniel shook his head. "No, I came because your people demanded a death match, and because running would have caused a war." That answer caught her attention, if only a little. Most challengers begged or boasted. This human did neither. The overseer's voice rang out across the arena, cold and formal. "The rules are simple. Combat ends only when one warrior is dead or fully unable to continue. Mercy is forbidden. Retreat is forbidden. Begin." A loud tone sounded. The match started. Surixa moved first. She always did. Her body surged forward with explosive speed, spear cutting the air toward the human's chest. She expected panic, a slow reaction, a fatal mistake. Daniel moved just in time. He rolled sideways, the spear missing him by less than a hand's width. The force of her strike cracked the stone floor. Before she could turn, he was already moving again, putting distance between them. The crowd reacted with surprise. He was faster than expected. Surixa smiled beneath her helmet, a predator's smile. She attacked again, then again, each strike precise and deadly. Daniel dodged, blocked, and retreated. His movements were rough, not elegant, but effective. He did not try to counterattack. He only survived. Minutes passed. Surixa's strikes grew stronger, her frustration rising. "Fight me," she shouted, "or die like prey." Daniel breathed heavily, sweat running down his face. "I am fighting," he said, "just not the way you expect." She lunged again, forcing him to block. Their weapons locked for a brief moment. She was stronger, she could feel it. With one sharp push, she knocked his staff aside and sent him crashing into the ground. The crowd roared. Surixa raised her spear for the killing blow. Then she hesitated. The human was on his back, weapon out of reach. This was the end. She had ended countless lives like this. It was simple, but Daniel did something unexpected. He did not beg. He looked up at her and spoke quietly. "If you're going to kill me, do it, but understand this, you didn't win anything by doing it." Her grip tightened. "You think your words matter." "I think choice matters," he said. "You don't have to do this." The overseer's voice cut in sharply. "Finish it." Surixa ignored it. Her heart beat faster, not from effort, but from something unfamiliar. Anger, confusion. She struck. The spear came down, but not where it should have. Instead of piercing his chest, it slammed into the ground beside his head, missing him by inches. The impact shook the arena floor. The crowd fell silent. Daniel stared at her, shocked. "Why didn't you?" "Get up," she said harshly. "The match is not over." He didn't move right away. Slowly, carefully, he reached for his staff and stood. "You could have killed me," he said. "Yes," she replied. "And you could have killed me earlier." That was true. She had felt it during the fight. Moments when he could have struck her exposed side, moments when he chose not to. They circled each other again, but something had changed. The rhythm was broken. The certainty was gone. They fought again, but now Daniel attacked, not to kill, but to disarm. His movements were smarter, more focused. He used the arena itself, the terrain, forcing her into less favorable positions. Surixa took a hit to the shoulder. Pain flared. She snarled and struck back, landing a heavy blow that sent him sliding across the stone. Both were injured. Both were breathing hard. Finally, Daniel made his move. He redirected her spear, twisted, and struck her legs. She fell hard, her weapon skidding away. Before she could rise, his staff was at her throat. The arena froze. The rules were clear. This was the moment. Kill or be killed. Daniel's hands shook slightly. He looked down at her, eyes filled with conflict. Surixa waited. She felt no fear, only a strange, hollow feeling. If he killed her, it would be right. If he didn't, nothing would make sense anymore. Seconds passed. Then Daniel stepped back. "I won't do it," he said. A shockwave of noise exploded from the stands. Rage, confusion, outrage. The overseer shouted, "Human, you are ordered to execute the defeated warrior." Daniel raised his voice. "She's beaten. Killing her changes nothing." Surixa pushed herself up slowly. Her world was breaking apart. "You condemn me," she said. "My people will kill me for this." "Then let them face me," Daniel replied, "because I won't let you die for losing." No one had ever said such words to her. Armed guards began moving toward the arena. Daniel stepped in front of her. For the first time in her life, Surixa stood behind someone else. Something inside her cracked, not her body, not her pride, but something deeper. The beliefs she had never questioned. The path she had never left. She had challenged a human to a death match. She had not lost her life, but the warrior she used to be was already gone. And the galaxy was about to change because of it. The guards entered the arena with weapons raised, their armor bearing the sharp symbols of the Kareth Dominion. The crowd watched in tense silence. This had never happened before. A death match stopped without a death. Honor broken, law challenged. Daniel stood in front of Surixa, his body tired, his arms shaking, but his feet firm on the stone floor. He knew he was surrounded by enemies, yet he did not move aside. The lead guard spoke in a harsh, metallic voice. "Human, step away. The defeated warrior must be executed." Daniel did not turn. "She lost the match, that's all." The guard took another step. "You do not understand our laws." Daniel finally looked at him. "Then maybe your laws are wrong." A low murmur spread through the stands. Some voices were angry, others were uncertain. Surixa felt every sound like a strike to her chest. Her people had never questioned their laws, not once. And yet this human did so without hesitation. The overseer's voice echoed again. "Human challenger, you have violated the terms of combat. You will be detained." Before the guards could act, a new voice joined in. Calm, controlled. "Stand down." The guards paused. A tall figure appeared on the highest platform. He wore command armor marked with the symbol of the Interstellar Accord, a neutral authority respected by most major powers. "By authority of the Accord," the figure continued, "this arena and all within it are under temporary observation. No executions will take place." Anger burst from the Dominion spectators, but none dared attack. The Accord did not interfere lightly. Surixa felt weak as the tension drained from her body. Her knees trembled. Daniel noticed and moved slightly closer, ready to support her if she fell. The guards lowered their weapons, though their eyes burned with hate. Soon after, Both fighters were escorted out of the arena, not as prisoners, but not as free beings either. They were taken through long metallic corridors into a holding chamber. The door sealed behind them with a heavy sound. For several moments neither spoke. Daniel finally sat down against the wall, breathing deeply. His hands were still shaking. Now that the danger had passed, the weight of what he had done pressed down on him. Surixa remained standing. "You should not have done that," she said quietly. Daniel looked up at her. "I know. They will call me dishonored," she continued. "I am no longer a warrior of the Dominion." He nodded. "I figured." She studied him carefully. "Then why?" Daniel thought for a long moment. "Because killing you wouldn't have made me stronger, and because you deserved a choice." The word struck her like a blade. Choice. She had never been given one. A medical team arrived, neutral drones hovering as they treated their wounds. Surixa barely noticed the pain. Her mind was elsewhere, replaying the fight, replaying the moment he stepped back instead of killing her. Later, they were moved again, this time to a transport vessel under Accord control. The room was small but clean. One bench, one light panel. "No restraints. You don't trust me?" she asked. Daniel gave a tired smile. "I trust you enough not to kill me in my sleep." She almost laughed. The sound surprised her. As the ship entered hyperspace, silence filled the room again. Surixa finally spoke, her voice lower than before. "In my culture," she said, "we are trained from childhood. Victory is worth everything. Losing means you are unfit to exist." Daniel listened without interrupting. "I have never lost," she continued. "Not once. I believe that made me pure, untouched by weakness." He looked at her. "And now," she clenched her fists, "now I feel empty, as if something inside me has been taken." Daniel nodded slowly. "Back on Earth we'd say you lost your innocence." She frowned. "Innocence is weakness." "Not always," he replied. "Sometimes it just means you haven't been forced to question your world yet." That night's cycle, she did not sleep. She sat, staring at the wall, feeling like a stranger in her own body. When they arrived at the Accord station, things moved quickly. Officials spoke, records were checked, decisions were made. Daniel was released with warnings. Surixa was not. "She cannot return to Dominion space," an official said. "They've already issued a death order." Daniel looked at her sharply. "Then what happens to her?" The official paused. "She may request asylum under human sponsorship." All eyes turned to Daniel. He hesitated. Sponsorship meant responsibility. It meant protection. It meant becoming her shield against an entire culture that wanted her dead. He looked at Surixa. She met his gaze. For the first time there was no pride there, no challenge, only uncertainty. "I will not beg," she said quietly, "but I will not fight you if you refuse." Daniel exhaled slowly. "I didn't save you just to abandon you." He signed the request. That moment sealed both their fates. They boarded a human transport ship days later. The crew watched Surixa carefully. Some were afraid, others were curious. None trusted her. She noticed everything. On the journey, Daniel tried to explain human customs, meals eaten together, rest cycles, humor. He spoke simply, knowing her understanding of language was strong, but her understanding of people was not. She asked questions, many questions. Why do humans protect the weak? The last question lingered. "I don't know," Daniel finally admitted. "Maybe because I saw someone trapped by rules she didn't choose." Surixa absorbed his words slowly. One night, alarms sounded. The ship shook violently. Red lights flashed. "Hostile vessels detected," the captain announced. "Dominion warcraft." Surixa felt a cold certainty settle in her chest. "They've come for me." The crew panicked. Weapons were readied, shields raised. Daniel ran to her. "Can you fight?" "Yes," she said instantly. Then she hesitated, but not for them. The Dominion ships demanded surrender. They wanted the traitor returned. Daniel stood beside Surixa on the bridge. "If they board us, we won't win." Surixa stared at the tactical display. Her mind worked fast, faster than ever before. "There is another way," she said, "but it will make me their enemy forever." Daniel looked at her. You already are, she nodded once. She took control of the communications channel and spoke in her native tongue. Her voice was steady. I am Surixa of the Kareth. I stand alive by choice, not weakness. I reject your law of death. If you attack this ship, you attack me. There was silence, then laughter from the other side. So be it, the Dominion commander replied. The battle erupted. Surixa moved with deadly precision, guiding human gunners, predicting Dominion tactics. She fought not to destroy, but to defend. For the first time, her strength served something other than dominance. When the last enemy ship retreated, the bridge fell silent. The human crew stared at her not with fear but respect. Daniel looked at her, pride clear in his eyes. You chose us, he said. She shook her head slowly. No, I chose myself. Something inside her shifted again. She had lost more than a match. She had lost the person she used to be. And in that loss, she was beginning to understand what it meant to be free. The human ship limped through open space, its shields damaged and several systems still recovering. Inside, the crew worked in silence, focused and tense. The battle was over, but everyone knew it was not the end. Surixa stood alone near a viewport, watching the stars slide past. Her reflection stared back at her. Same scars, same armor, same body. Yet she felt like a different being entirely. The Dominion ships had retreated, but their message was clear. They would return. Next time they would not hesitate. Daniel approached quietly. Engineering says we'll reach human space in 2 days, he said. She nodded. Your people will not welcome me. He did not deny it. Some won't, but they'll listen. That is more than my people ever did, she replied. Since the battle, the crew had begun to treat her differently, not as a prisoner, not as a weapon. They watched her, yes, but they also spoke to her, asked her opinions, trusted her judgment during repairs and planning. This confused her more than hatred ever had. On the second cycle, an emergency meeting was called on the bridge. A large holographic display filled the center of the room, showing several star systems marked in red. The Dominion has moved fleets into neutral territory, the captain said. They are claiming it's a pursuit operation. The Accord is protesting, but slowly. Daniel frowned. They're pushing boundaries. They're testing us, Surixa said calmly. All eyes turned to her. They want to see how far they can go before someone resists, she continued. They believe fear is the strongest weapon. The captain crossed his arms. You know their strategy. Yes, she said. I helped design it. Silence followed. She did not look away. If you are going to fight them, you need to understand how they think. They do not value territory. They value obedience. If someone resists and survives, it weakens them. Daniel watched her closely. Then why are you still alive? Because you broke their rule, she answered. You showed mercy and survived. That makes you dangerous. The ship entered human-controlled space hours later. Defense stations tracked them, weapons ready, but no shots were fired. Orders came quickly. The ship was directed to a secure military station orbiting a blue-white planet. As they docked, Surixa felt tension tighten in her chest. This was unknown ground. She was no warrior here. No legend. Only an alien whose past was filled with blood. The doors opened. Armed human guards waited, but their weapons stayed lowered. Daniel walked beside her as they were escorted through the station. Humans stared openly. Some whispered. Some looked afraid. Others looked curious. A council chamber awaited them. Inside sat military leaders, scientists, and Accord observers. The room was bright, sterile, and nothing like the brutal halls of the Dominion. Surixa stood straight, her hands open at her sides. She would not kneel. The questioning began. They asked about the Dominion fleets, their weapons, their culture. They asked about the arena, about the death match, about why she lived. She answered everything truthfully. Finally, one of the leaders spoke. Why should we trust you? Surixa met his eyes. You should not trust me, she said. Not yet. Trust is earned through time, not words. Daniel nodded slightly. After hours of debate, a decision was made. Surixa would remain under observation, but she would also serve as an advisor. Her knowledge was too valuable to ignore. When they were dismissed, Daniel exhaled deeply. That went better than expected. She gave a short nod. Your people argue before killing. It is strange. He smiled faintly. We see that as progress. Days passed, then weeks. Surixa trained with human soldiers, learning their methods. They were different, less ritual, less pride, more teamwork. They protected each other, even the weakest among them. She struggled at first. Instinct told her to dominate, to push harder than others, to prove superiority. But that behavior earned distance, not respect. One night, during a simulation exercise, a young human soldier made a mistake that would have cost lives in a real battle. Surixa reacted instantly, correcting the error, preventing failure. Afterward, she confronted him sharply. Your mistake was unacceptable. The soldier lowered his head. I know, I'm sorry. She waited for fear, for excuses. None came. Later, Daniel spoke to her privately. You scared him. He failed, she said. Failure has consequences. Yes, Daniel replied. But fear doesn't make people better, it makes them hide. The words stayed with her. That same night, an alarm echoed through the station. Emergency lights flared. Dominion ships had crossed the border. They were not attacking yet. They were waiting. A message arrived, broadcast openly. Return the traitor, the Dominion commander said, or face correction. The council argued fiercely. Some wanted to hand her over to avoid war. Others refused. Surixa listened in silence. Finally, she stepped forward. This conflict exists because of me, she said. I will face them. Daniel stood up immediately. No, she turned to him. They will not stop, not while I live under your protection. Their pride will not allow it. The room fell quiet. I was raised to believe my life only had value through victory, she continued. Now I understand something else. My choice has value. Let me choose. Daniel's voice was low. That's not choice, that's sacrifice. She shook her head. Number sacrifices when others decide. This is mine. A plan formed quickly. Surixa would go to the border under accord protection. She would meet the Dominion commander publicly with human observers present. No weapons, no battle, only words. Daniel insisted on going with her. The meeting took place aboard a neutral station drifting between territories. The Dominion commander arrived surrounded by guards, his presence heavy with threat. Surixa, he said coldly, you live in shame. She met his gaze without fear. I live by my will. You will return and accept judgment, he demanded. No, she replied, and you will not attack human space. Laughter echoed from the Dominion side. You speak as if you have power. She took a slow breath. You fear weakness, but you fear disobedience more. If you kill me now in front of them, you prove that your law cannot tolerate survival, that your rule is brittle. The commander's expression tightened. Daniel stepped forward. If you touch her, the accord records it as an execution. Every system watching will see what you are. Silence stretched. The Dominion commander realized the trap too late. With a sharp gesture, he ordered retreat. This is not over. As the Dominion ship departed, Surixa felt something loosen inside her chest. Back aboard the human station, reactions spread quickly. News traveled faster than ships. A Dominion warrior had defied death and lived. A human had stood beside her. The galaxy watched. That night, Surixa stood alone again at a viewport. Daniel joined her. You changed things today, he said. She nodded slowly. I am no longer untouched by doubt, by mercy, by choice. He smiled gently. That doesn't make you weaker. She looked at him, truly looked at him. No, she said, it makes me dangerous in a different way. Beyond the glass, stars burned quietly. The Dominion had lost control of one warrior. Soon, they would learn what that truly meant. The weeks passed slowly, yet the tension never eased. Surixa trained with human soldiers each day, pushing her body harder than ever, learning teamwork, tactics, and restraint. Her skills were unmatched, yet she found herself frustrated when humans worked differently. They were not focused on personal glory, but on survival, protection, and strategy. Every lesson forced her to question her old beliefs. Daniel watched her quietly. He could see the storm inside her, the warrior who had never lost, the alien who had never doubted herself, now struggling to understand a world where strength was measured in more than combat. One evening, while the station rested under soft artificial light, a message arrived. It was encrypted, coming directly from the Dominion. The words were simple yet chilling: "Return Surixa to us, or we destroy those who harbor her." The Council of Human Leaders debated fiercely. Some argued for immediate evacuation. Others wanted to launch a preemptive strike. Surixa listened silently, her mind calculating, her instincts sharpening. Finally, she stood. "Stop arguing," she said, her voice steady. "You are thinking like children. They do not negotiate, they test. They provoke. You cannot defeat them by force alone. You must show them something stronger." Daniel frowned. "And what is stronger than a fleet of warships?" Her gaze met his. "The fact that we are not afraid to live by our choices." The human leaders stared at her. She continued, "They expect fear, obedience, and submission. We give them none. That will be their defeat." Plans were quickly drawn. Surixa would travel to a neutral sector near the Dominion border. Daniel and a small escort would accompany her. The goal was not to fight, but to confront the Dominion commander directly, demonstrating that neither fear nor rules could control her. The journey was tense. The crew moved cautiously, aware of potential ambushes. Surixa spent the time observing, learning about human tactics, and teaching others about Dominion methods. Her insights were invaluable. She had been trained for war her entire life, and now her knowledge was used for defense, not dominance. When they reached the neutral sector, the Dominion fleet was waiting. Ships hovered, their weapons powered but idle, like predators testing prey. A single message came through the comms: "Return Surixa or face destruction." Daniel stood beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Are you ready?" he asked. Surixa nodded. "I have never been more ready." They docked on a neutral station between territories. The Dominion commander arrived shortly, surrounded by his guards, his presence commanding fear and respect. Surixa stepped forward, unarmed, her armor stripped down to standard clothing, signaling trust in her own choices rather than in weapons. "You live outside our law," the commander said coldly. "Why do you not fear death?" "I have lived," she replied evenly. "Not because I was strong, but because I was given a choice, and I will continue to live by it." He sneered. "Your life is meaningless. Return or it is taken." "No," she said simply. "I am not yours to take." Daniel spoke then, his voice steady. "She is under the protection of the Accord. Any attempt to harm her will be recorded. Every system will see it. You risk more than her life. You risk your credibility, your control, and the eyes of the galaxy." The commander's face hardened. "You think human threats can bind us?" "They cannot," Surixa said, "but your fear of exposure can. You cannot kill me here without showing the universe your weakness. And weakness is not tolerated by your own people." For the first time, the commander hesitated. Surixa had seen this in battle, those tiny cracks in the armor, the moment a warrior realizes the rules have changed. Tension stretched for what seemed like hours. Finally, the commander ordered his fleet to withdraw. His message was cold: "This is not the end. We will see you again." Back aboard the human station, the crew cheered quietly. The crisis had passed without bloodshed. Surixa stood at the viewport, watching the Dominion ships disappear into the distance. Daniel joined her. "You changed things today," he said. "I only survived," she replied. "They allowed me to live, and I chose to make them hesitate. That is all." "No," he said gently. "It is more than that. You survived, and in doing so, you changed their expectations. You showed them that strength is more than violence. That will be remembered." Surixa considered his words. For the first time, she did not feel the need to prove herself with combat. Her victories were in choice, in restraint, in survival without submission. In the following weeks, she integrated fully with the human crew. She trained with them, fought alongside them in drills, and taught them Dominion strategies. She also learned human ways, small acts of humor, teamwork, and care that she had never experienced before. Each day reshaped her understanding of strength. One evening, as artificial stars flickered above the training deck, Surixa spoke quietly to Daniel. "I have never known a life without rules that demanded death at every turn. This is strange but not unpleasant," he smiled softly. "You've earned it, you chose it," she nodded. "And I have earned something more. I no longer fear what I once thought I could not survive. I understand now that life, choice, and loyalty matter more than any victory in battle." Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and grounding. "And I am glad to have been part of that." Surixa looked out at the stars again. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of danger, opportunity, and unknown challenges. She was no longer simply a warrior of the Kareth. She was something new, someone who had faced death, learned mercy, and embraced choice. When the Dominion returned months later, fully expecting to claim her, they found an alien warrior who was not afraid, accompanied by humans who would not back down. Her presence alone caused hesitation. Her courage inspired them to question their own rules. In the end, the Dominion retreated once more. They would not forget Surixa, the warrior who defied their law and survived. They would not forget the human who stood beside her. Surixa had lost the person she once was, the undefeated warrior who lived only for combat, but in that loss she had gained herself. And in doing so, she had proven something every observer in the galaxy would remember. Strength is not measured by killing. Strength is measured by choice, courage, and the will to live freely. The stars shone brighter as she watched, a quiet smile on her face. She had challenged the galaxy, faced death, and emerged not only alive but transformed. Daniel stood beside her, and together they stepped forward into the future, ready for whatever would come next. The galaxy had changed, and so had she.